Hi everyone, my name is Bill Laboon. I'm the Technical Education Lead at the Web3 Foundation here in Zug, Switzerland. And today I'm going to discuss some of the things you can do on Kusama and show you how to do them using our user interface. So if you would like to follow along, you can go to polkadot.js.org/apps. So if you look up here, just get rid of the Pound Explorer, polkadot.js.org/apps, and you can also see what you can do on the Kusama network. So just to give a little background, Kusama is the early unaudited release of Polkadot. However, it is not a testnet. It's not just something that people used to test software. It is actually being used. There is actual economic value behind it. It is a network that is running on its own and will exist as long as people use it. So the polkadot.js.org is an interface to the Kusama network. So it's going to let you do all of the things that you can do on the network. However, when you first go there, it might look a little bit complicated. And so I want to just walk you through all of the different tabs, all of the different applications that you can do with it, and maybe get some ideas for yourself of what you might want to do with Kusama. So when you first go to polkadot.js.org, you will see these blocks increasing in number. So Polkadot and Kusama, it is a blockchain. So all of these blocks that we see here with like 1729614, for instance, this is a collection of data. It is things that have happened on the network. So you can see not much happened in this particular block. We set the timestamp and we're keeping track of things. A lot of this is internal technical details that you probably wouldn't be very interested in a day-to-day basis. But it certainly can help you see what is the most recent block, make sure that the network is running. You can see how many Kusama tokens exist. Right now it's 8.68 million Kusamas. So that's the Explorer tab. The Accounts tab is going to give you a list of your accounts. So you can see here I have a variety of different accounts here, and I can give them names. You'll see that some have check marks because they have been verified by a registrar on the network. That means that somebody has verified that I am, in fact, Bill at the Web3 Foundation. And some of them are just accounts that I've made for myself, like test, that nobody ever really sees and I just use for my internal testing. But you can also create your own accounts here by simply clicking Add Account, making an account. I'll call it a new account. It gives me a seed. So this is something that I can use to restore my account. You want to put that, write that down on paper somewhere. Give yourself a password for this account. For now, we can ignore the advanced creation options. So I'm now going to save this. It's going to create a backup file for me that is downloaded to the computer, and you can see I now have a new account. So that's accounts. It basically just lets you keep track of your accounts. And create accounts, delete them, etc. Claim tokens, for some people that have already bought dots in a pre-sale, you'll be able to claim an equivalent number of Kusama tokens. So if you had done that, then you can claim your Kusama tokens here. However, that's obviously not going to apply to everybody, and if you hadn't bought DOT tokens earlier in one of the pre-sales, then this is going to be a pretty useless tab for you. Sorry. If you would like to send Kusamas, you can click on Transfer. So, like if I could send something from my Bill W3F accounts to from my Bill W3F account over to my new account. So just like any pretty much any system out there, if I want to send tokens from one person to another, I can. I'm just going to have to sign and send that. You do pay a fee. In this case, it would be 10 millicusamas. That's 1/100th of a kusama is the current fee if I have to send this. But I'm not going to do that right now. Sorry, new account, you're not going to get any kusamas from me today. So I'm going to cancel that balance transfer. Staking lets you do several things. One, it's going to let you see who are the current validators. That is, what are the servers that are currently producing blocks. So you can see here, we see Cryptium Labs producing some. We see a few anonymous ones. We see Dragon Stake, Pure Stake, as well as information about them. So how much stake do they have behind their particular validator? What was the last block they produced? What commission do they charge in terms of nominating? Since I am what's called a nominator, I'm helping to vote on who should be the next validators. I get rewarded for doing that. It also shows me, you can see this 1 with a circle, that I have 0.1 rewards waiting for me. So here is where I can see these are the validators that I'm nominating. And because I'm nominating them, I share in the block rewards. So I can always pay out that reward here. Otherwise, it will just wait for me. I will actually walk through. So we can see that my transaction has been broadcast to the network. And it was a success, and you'll notice that my Kusama tokens have increased slightly here. So we can also see who is waiting to be a validator. So there are several people, servers here that said they want to be a validator, but they don't have enough stake yet to do it, so they're waiting their turn. If you're trying to figure out who you should validate as a nominator, you can go to returns and it will give you some information about them as well as your estimated profit from that validator if you nominate them. So there are a couple of other talks that I've given that you can see here on why why nominating different validators could give you a different amount of profit. But so I won't go too much into detail about that now. Just know that you can go to this returns tab and try to estimate how much you would get. Finally, if you're interested in more statistics of a specific validator, you can go to validator stats and type in their account address. Or if you're on this page, you see this little looks like a stock chart going up. If you click on this, it will tell you a little bit more information about all of the validators. So we're just letting it load right now. So again, we can see that this would be a good, we can see the rewards that this validator got in previous time periods, as well as slashes. So that is, did the validator do anything bad? And we can see how much stake others have put behind them, how many tokens they have put behind them. So you can get a lot of information here that would be useful if you're trying to determine who you want to validate. So let's move on to the democracy tab. So Kusama has on-chain governance, which means that you can vote on how you want the system to work going forward. So this can be anything from voting on the number of validators all the way up to changing the entire code that is being run on Kusama. Anyone is allowed to submit a proposal, and a proposal is a proposal to change something in the network, and those proposals that get enough backing behind them can become a referendum where the rest of the network votes on it. So we can see here that there is a referendum currently running, which is failing, where they are trying to set the number of validators, increase it to 225. So if you notice here, actually there are more people voting for it than against it, but in this case you need a supermajority to do this, which is why it is currently failing, as you can see from the red indicator here. There are some other proposals waiting. So somebody has issued a proposal to give themselves 100 Kusamas, and it looks like that nobody is really seconding that to vote on that. So there is a new referendum every 7 days on Kusama. So after a while, we'll see a new referendum. And this is where you can vote on it, just simply by clicking vote and deciding if you want to vote if you approve or not. The Polkadot Council, we can see in the Council tab. So here, you can either vote for candidates for council. You can see that there's Bill W3F there as a runner-up. Or you can submit your own candidacy. You can decide that you want to run for council. So why would you want to be on the council? Well, the council has a variety of powers, such as being able to determine if you need a supermajority or not when voting on a referendum. So their powers are specifically delineated, but they can be very, very, very useful, and can also be used for giving out funds from the Treasury. So we do have a Treasury which is kept online, and you can send an indication, we'll see that in a second, if you think you're going to work on a project that would be cool and interesting and useful for Kusama, then the council can also vote on that to give you some Kusama tokens. You'll note this Prime Voter tab. So the whole point of the council is to help represent the passive stakeholders, the people that don't vote on every single referendum that comes through. But even if there are passive members of the council, then we have something that can help prevent problems. So that is this concept of the prime voter. So if somebody on the council doesn't vote for something, then whoever is the prime voter, their vote becomes all of the people who didn't vote. So what I mean by that is if you didn't vote, then however the prime voter voted, that's how you're going to vote. So if you are in the council, you should, and you want your voice to be heard, you should make sure to vote. So I already mentioned the Treasury. So right now there are 165,000 Kusama available and no proposals. So if you would like to work on something and you would like some Kusamas in exchange for it, you can ask the Treasury. So the Treasury is funded from various ways and will slowly increase. And you can submit a proposal that you are going to want to do something, and so you want a certain number of Kusama tokens for it. You can also do this on someone else's behalf. So if I saw that this Noogie had done something really cool, then I might go to the council and say, hey, you should give them whatever 80 Kusamas and propose that. The technical committee consists of everybody who has built either what's called a runtime or a host for Polkadot. Basically think of these people as the ones who have, the engineers who've actually helped to develop the network. And they can help, along with the council's approval, can issue emergency referenda. So these are still voted on, We want to make sure that people that are involved in the community via holding stake, that is people that own Kusama tokens, they have the final say. But if the council and the technical committee agree on something, then it's probably pretty important, and we should speed up how fast they vote on it. So while normally you have 7 days for a referendum to pass, plus some time for it to actually take effect, the technical committee can issue proposals that turn into referenda that are on a much increase, go out much faster, that don't have nearly as long a time. There are currently no registered parachains on Kusama, but when there are, this is where you'll be able to see them. So parachains are basically semi-independent chains, parallelized chains that are part of the Kusama network and share security and can communicate with other parachains on the network. So think of them as like shards that can connect to the Kusama network. So we also have a society tab. So on the society tab here, we can have a certain number of members in this society, and people can ask to join this particular society. So this society here is the Kappa Sigma Mu, which is the Kusama, fraternity. So in order to join this, you will need to get a tattoo of the Kusama canary on you. So as you can see, we've had a few people do this, and you will actually get rewarded for getting this tattoo and joining the fraternity. And so you can see all the members on it by clicking on the Society tab. Now, as we get a little bit lower into here, we're going to see more technical details of the chain. So the chain state will let you see things about the current state of the chain. So, for example, what is the current time according to the chain? It's this particular timestamp, which is number of seconds since, number of milliseconds since January 1st, 1970. We can see, did we update the timestamp recently? We could see are there any current candidates for the society? These are all like what is happening on the chain from a very, very low level. We can also send in messages to the chain. Extrinsics are anything that is external to the system. So this, we could try to see, like make a claim or try to clear public proposals. A lot of these you're not going to have access to unless you're a super user, which doesn't no longer exists on this chain. But we can see that there are some things that, again, if you're technical, you may want to be interested in looking at. But an ordinary user is not going to want to send in extrinsics themselves. This is being done behind the scenes by the UI, but again, you're normally covered from that as a user, but it's just nice to know what it is. Settings allow you to set things for the UI. So for example, you may want to try to connect to some of the other live networks running, such as Edgeware's parachain or Kalupu, or some of the test networks that we run. By default, again, you'll be connected to Kusama, but there are a lot of other chains in our ecosystem that are out there, many of which will eventually be connected to Kusama, and settings will allow you to modify that. There are a couple of other things that you can do here, but again, most of these you will not deal with unless you are a developer. The Toolbox allows you to make some other very, very technical side of things. So making a remote procedure call into this current node. So finding information about the node that this UI is connected to. Make a hash, sign messages, verify that somebody sent you a message correctly. And finally, there's a little JavaScript toolbox here that lets you run JavaScript against the Polkadot API. So there's a very simple example here that has some JavaScript that's just going to get some information from the current chain. So if I run it, it says I'm connected to chain Kusama using Polkadot 0.728. There are a variety of different sample programs here, and of course you can make your own. So if I just I want to maybe add console log Bill is awesome. It's true because it's on the computer, and run this again. So you can see it now says Bill is awesome. All right, so that concludes our tour of the Kusama, of the Polkadot.js org UI and looking at Kusama. I hope that some of this has whet your appetite to explore Kusama a little bit more, and perhaps view some of the videos that we also have out on the specific aspects of this, because there are a lot of different things that you can do on Kusama, and there's only going to be more and more being added in the days ahead. All right. Thank you very much.